welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by my Myron.
Good morning, evening, or whenever you're listening to this fine product. I am glad to have you here.
Well, look, man, it's been a couple weeks. Well, it's been a few weeks since we did an old mailbag episode, and they kind of piled up a little bit. So I thought, hey, you know what? It's a good week.
So let's empty it.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mania's around the corner, and look, guys, yeah, we're eventually, obviously, we're going to get into, because I was trying to map out the next few weeks, I guess, of what we've got heading into Mania. So it's kind of like, okay, well, the week before Mania will probably be prediction show and da-da-da. So there's really only 2 weeks kind of after this.
As long as you don't make me do another one of those Ultimate Mania cards, because I found the notes to that, and I don't want another part of doing that ever again.
So Myron's finding out probably the week before the prediction show. I was thinking about redoing that show.
Oh my God. That was like having the homework assignment. Take your favorite subject in the whole world, professional wrestling, your favorite show in the whole world, WrestleMania, and then creating a homework assignment from hell about it.
Let us know at tappedoutpod@gmail.com if you, because there's a lot of, there might be, there's not a maybe, there's a lot of listeners and viewers now on YouTube that were not around when we did that episode back in the day. So we called it the Ultimate WrestleMania card episode. It was fun, dude. I mean, look, it was a lot of work, I will agree. But it was really, really fun. If you want to see that, if you want to hear that episode again, let us know. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. It was super, super strange.
It was fun.
Do you even remember the rules?
I don't remember them all together, but it was like you can't have more than one match off more than one WrestleMania.
No. You could. It was so, and I'm going to share this. So again, if you want to hear this, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. It's so basically what the rules were. Every title had to be defended. Now, okay, by the way, you were taking existing matches that actually happened. So that's the key. Like, we're taking matches that actually happened and saying every title had to be defended, and you could only have a wrestler wrestle once. What makes that difficult, and so it was all of those, and then you got two, we gave you two, like, what did we call them?
Like attraction matches.
Attraction match. That's exactly what we called them, was attraction matches. So, for example, one of my favorite matches of all times is Rock versus Hogan, at 18. So the question becomes, okay, if you take Rock and Hogan and you use that as your attraction match, well, now no title match with Hogan or Rock in it can count because you've already used them for this other match. If you use Shawn and Razor for your Intercontinental match, well, now you can't have, you see what I mean? You can't use Shawn in a title match. So it or an attraction match. So it gets really difficult pretty quick. And so that was kind of the main rules. Those are the main ones. And so anyway, let us know, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, because the great thing about that one, Myron, we could record that ahead of time and load that. So like normally when you get the episodes on Patreon or YouTube like a day ahead, we could do that one like really early and have it in the can at patreon.com/tappedoutpod, or over on YouTube. The handle there is tappedoutpod. Sign up, on either. We love both of them. But of course on YouTube, make sure you're subscribing, liking the page, subscribing, turn your notifications on. And like I said, you can even become a paid member over on YouTube as well and get the show early, the audios, everything we're putting there for the paid members as well.
I love YouTube. I love the YouTube content. That's my favorite way to consume media. Besides Disney Plus, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Sorry. You keeping up with the Bad Batch this time? Or have you ever?
I've never started it. I need to. There's so many things that we watch that I haven't.
Just let it finish. Let season 3 finish, and then watch it all the way through. I wish I'd have. My memory is so bad.
You had to go back and watch it again. So
yeah, I had to finish. I had to start again so I could remember
everything. Anyway. Look, we may have overloaded with questions. Like I said, I was trying to pull, because if there's duplicates, we kind of pull who we got first. And so that way we kind of.
Or who wrote the better question. I mean,
if we had
if we had two people send the same question in, we're going to take the better person or the better question.
So be it. Yeah. But, But man, you fire them away, man. We're gonna get started.
Our friend Dennis from Toledo, Ohio, and this is an Ohio question, Nick.
Yes, it was.
Did you think it was weird that the WWE let Logan Paul announce SummerSlam's location on his and date on his podcast?
No. Here's the thing. We joked about this a little bit when it happened. Like, they had been leaking stuff in the past to, like, ESPN or Bleacher Report or Fightful or TMZ, whomever, right? They were leaking it out to, so all these people were making these announcements. I'm like, Logan Paul's got 4.5 million followers. It made all the sense in the world. I mean, he's a Cleveland guy. I mean, like, he's an Ohio guy. So yeah, October the 3rd, Cleveland, Ohio, in the Brown Stadium. It's a Saturday show. They're doing the Smackdown like the night before in the the arena there in that town as well. But it was cool to hear his excitement about it, and I think that maybe is why I got it. He was like super jacked about it. You know what I mean? He was excited, and he's also like, because he's it's a hometown kind of vibe feel. Like, to hear him going out of his way to, hey, maybe we get the Kelsey brothers or LeBron James. Like, he was just like, all these guys, maybe we can get local, people to come make it even bigger. And that'd be pretty cool.
I like him as a hype man, and he does pretty good in the ring. I really liked him in Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this guy. I don't mind the Prime in the ring. Have you tried Prime yet?
No, I don't drink it. Here's the funny thing. I don't drink any energy drinks whatsoever. And
by
the way, it's not a thing against
energy drink. I think it's a hydration drink.
I've tried. I'm not doing like 100% at it. Coke's few and far between. I try to go to straight water. Every now and then at dinner, I'll do a sweet tea, which is probably worse than me doing a Coke at that point. But that's just, I just don't drink anything other than, I don't drink coffee. I've never drank coffee.
And the Coke Zero, backing that up. Well, I start slow, and with all those damn seizure meds, I have to like crank up to get started, or I start slurring about 11:30. So I got to get the run going, and I don't drink energy drinks, because my arrhythmias, God Almighty, I'm a sad sack of medical conditions. But if it's just hydration, I'll drink it. But I like the logo in the ring. And look, boxing has logos in the ring.
UFC does it. Look, this is the kind of stuff that when the UFC, the TKO merger, that we were like, this is the kind of stuff that we were going to probably start seeing more of. I mean, look, we've seen MMA fight, UFC guys at Raw. Buddy Matthews and Rhea Ripley were at the last UFC fight. So I think you'll start seeing more. Like, I don't think that, by the way, I agree with Eric. Eric Bischoff. I don't think that really helps much of anything. It's just the energy, the image of, hey, we're a happy family. Like, we cross over and we're at each other's, we're supporting each other's shows. I think that's probably what it is. But the sponsorship stuff, like the Prime in the in ring, that was like a big no for Vince. Like, that would never happen.
I think being associated with what you would consider a legitimate sport makes you look more legitimate. Anytime you can have legitimate athletes of any kind come to your sport, it makes you look more legitimate. And it's good for wrestling. I think it's a benefit.
Yeah, but back to the original question. Okay. Yes, I was no. I'm saying, I think it was just a cool concept, especially since he's a full-time roster talent. Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's just kind of cool to tie it all in. I mean it would be like, look, if I'm trying, if AJ Styles had 4.5 million followers on his Twitch channel, his gaming channel. Yeah. Let him announce the next time they're coming to Atlanta for W or something like that. I mean, no problem with that, but he doesn't. But you don't get the point.
I get letting ESPN, but because they have jillions of followers. But when you look at like letting Bleacher Report, I'm sure Logan Paul has a much bigger reach than Bleacher Report. So
I think it's just a novelty. It's a win-win for both. That's kind of the why. But anyway.
Scott from Madison, Wisconsin wants to know, what do you guys think of John Cena saying he's not the GOAT? Well, what did you think about almost seeing his goat at the Oscars?
We were going to get there. We were going to get there, yeah. So what he's discussed, I think what he's so he did that, was it Chris Van Vliet that does a lot of interviews with wrestlers? He does more than wrestlers, but he does get a lot of wrestlers. And on there, basically, he said he did not see himself as the GOAT. And by the way, I kind of appreciated his logic. He kind of gave the praise more to like Hogan and Rock and Austin and even Roman, by the way. And his logic was those talents actually elevated the business. He was kind of like, he did great business, but it was already at a certain level, and he felt like maybe he maintained that level, but he also had a group of talents with him. He had Randy Orton, he had Batista, he saw this package of people with him, but he was kind of like, hey, we maintained the business, but like Hogan took it from here, elevated to here. Austin and Rock basically in the Attitude Era brought it back from, they were getting crushed every week by, WCW. So boop, I think that's kind of what he's talking about.
I hate to not agree with John Cena, but I think John Cena was responsible for a massive amount of crossover, media, for bringing kids in, for making it wholesome for kids to be wrestling fans, to making super kid wrestling fans. The rap stuff he did, I mean, it was corny, but it got over with kids and fans, and I liked his comic book crossovers. I think John Cena, he's at the Oscars with a envelope over his junk. It's just, I think he's done more crossover business than anybody besides The Rock. He's been better for wrestling on the whole.
Listen, there's a lot to be. I think there's a lot of it's just let's be humble and look. By the way, here's the funny part is, I love John Cena, but I don't think he's the GOAT. But I hate GOAT arguments to begin with in any sport and any there's only one that's not debatable, and that's Jordan. But the rest of them are I always say is debatable. By the way, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Yeah, I know.
Joe Montana.
No.
Joe Montana's the greatest quarterback of all time.
No. But anyway, see, that's the point. They're debatable. But I get what he said. But yes, look, he shot up in points because how brave was that at the Oscars where he comes strolling out in his little bodysuit that kind of had him slightly covered at the bottom, So
I stretched mine out prior to the show and ripped it, so I couldn't wear mine.
You couldn't wear your bodysuit?
No.
Yeah. Best costume design goes to? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, this was getting worn out like my bodysuit was. But Felix from Laredo, Texas has asked, what non-main event WrestleMania match are you most excited for? I'm going to let you get this one. I'm going to reverse the order and let you get this one, Nick.
No, because I think we're probably the same.
Okay, are we considering the tag match a non-main event? Because I think it's the main event match on night one.
No, I want to say so. Night one and night two, the main events are the tag match night one, and then the Cody Roman night two. So those two are your main events. Okay, so it's got to be something other than those two matches.
Well, I know the Seth match is a co-main event. They said that last night.
And I'm eye rolling. Yeah, I'm eye rolling, but I get what they're saying. So okay, take that one out. So then, by the way, none of those three were, two of those were I considered the main events, and the one I wasn't my pick. So we're still.
So well, there's three matches then. Besides that could qualify, Gunner and Sammy, not Gunner. Jesus Christ, Gunther and Sammy. Io Sky and Bailey, and Becky and Rhea Ripley. None of those three matches.
No. That one of them, yeah. The Gunther Sammy match is in the running. To me, it was down to two. And by the way, I know I'm insane. I cannot believe I'm even putting this in there. I want to see who qualifies for that 6-team ladder match, because that's going to be an absolute car crash for the titles. When Judgment Day, it has to, so 12, think about that, 12 men are going to be in there wrestling.
Trying to get up a ladder.
Yeah.
I like women's wrestling. I think the Becky and Rhea match will be vicious, and then you've got Liv Morgan stalking around the outside, which I still haven't seen the resolution on that. And we still haven't seen where's Nia Jax going to be. I think the Bayley and Io Sky match will be a phenomenal match. I don't know about the whole damage control thing on the outside, but I think the best match we're going to see is Gunther and Sammy.
I agree.
I think that's going to be the best non-main event match we're going to see. Can Gunther continue his massive streak? The greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, which I think he's the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time.
Honky Tonk Man would probably debate that, but I mean, my question would be,
Tonk Man.
Yeah. Let me, if could, tapthappod@gmail.com answer this question. Could the WWE be doing a make good on Sammy being the one to end Gunther's streak, because for obvious reasons they didn't want him to be the one to end Roman's streak? And if so, does that make up for it to you? Because, by the way, I was on record as saying I didn't think Sammy was the guy to beat the record or to beat Roman anyway. I still think it's a pretty significant thing, don't you?
Yeah. No record is beat. I think Sammy loses. I'm sorry. Sammy is a victim. I think that's his character. Sorry, folks. I just think he's a character.
We're going to go opposite on this. I think Sammy, I think they do a make good. Here's the thing. Sammy got so hot, and that lost to Roman for basically almost a year now. Sammy's struggled a little bit, in my opinion. He's gotten hot again, and I think this is a make good for them. They had a bigger story, but I think, and okay, here, send your hate mail to tappedoutpod@gmail.com for what I'm about to say. Sammy is a great Intercontinental Champion. I do not see Sammy as a world champion. So this is, to me, the make good as you're going to get for Sammy, is letting him be the one ending Gunther. Because, by the way, he beats Gunther. Gunther moves on to Cody. Yeah, you think?
I hadn't even thought about this yet. Okay.
Always be thinking. Yeah. So I wanted you, the reason I literally, by the way, the reason I put you on the notes first was I figured you were going to go Gunther and Sammy. And I wanted to mention that I think the 12-man, 6-team ladder match for the titles is just going to be such a car crash that it'll be super entertaining, because it'll probably stand out from everything else just because it's going to be so wild. Yeah. And that was kind of the why. So.
Yeah, you just wanted to burn me with that too.
No. I honestly no. I didn't think there's anything burned there. I hope that you pick, because I do think Gunther and Sammy could be the best match of the non-main events. Throw that all whatever that means. But yeah. So not only do I think, Myron, that ladder match is going to be crazy, could also be what? A little scary.
A little scary.
Are you a fan of the strange, mysterious, and unusual? Do you enjoy stories told firsthand about creepy experiences? UFO encounters, ghostly apparitions, near-death and afterlife experiences, even parallel universes? Well, if so, you need to check out the YouTube channel William Scary Things. It is a new, albeit determined channel. William was influenced as a kid by books, movies, stories, all that were passed down by his friends and family, and they all had a creepy theme. What started out as a scary story narration is now a long-form interview process with people who have experienced weird and unusual things firsthand. Do you want to hear about a house with the former owners that were laid to rest right in the front yard? Yeah, told by yours truly. Well, if so, William Scary Things has you covered. How about a witness to the Phoenix Lights, probably the most renowned UFO sighting in modern history? Maybe you want to hear about a first-hand encounter with a ghostly apparition late one night with Ida photo to boot. No problem. William's got you covered there too. Were you a fan of the Scary Stories to Tell and Dark Book series as a kid? Want to learn more about the Solway Firth Spaceman? Well, if so, it's all right there. So head on over to William's Scary Things and check out his latest episodes and give him a like, subscribe to the channel, heck, leave a comment. Trust me, there's nothing to be scared of. That's right, man. Check out William's Scary Things over on YouTube. Give him a like, subscribe, turn your notifications on, all that good stuff for him as well. And go into the show notes. The link to the channel is actually in the show notes as well. So you can simply just click and go straight there. And while you're in the show notes, by the way, we want to make sure that you're checking out, support all the other sponsors. Libsyn.com. Use the promo code TAP, get up to 2 months for free. Look, a lot of people talk about doing a podcast. A lot of people talk about doing a podcast. Yeah. And, so if you want to get started, there's where I always suggest Libsyn.com, promo code TAPPED. And of course, look, we were, you know what? I'm going to save the other plug for later, because I know we're probably going to talk about it in a minute. And that's a good tease for later. So, all right, Myron, what's the next question? What you got?
We got somebody from local. We got Jonathan for Decatur, Georgia. Wants to know, how did you guys like your in-person experience at AEW Dynamite? Well, before we get into that, I want to tell you, the good people at Gas South Arena were lovely. Very, very nice people.
It's a super building. It's by the way, we love it because it's super close. And how about this? Easy as hell to get in and out of compared to State Farm downtown.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was home, in 15 minutes?
Yeah, it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. It is super close to home. And even just getting in and out of that parking lot, it's just so much easier than anything. Like State Farm, dude, it's sometimes 30, 45 minutes before you get out, like off of the back road, the actual streets of Atlanta, back onto the interstate. It's a nightmare sometimes.
Yeah, bring me all the wrestling to Gas South you can. Just so easy. We were assisted due to my neurological issues to get down, and my fat ass, to get down to the floor to our seats. We ran into a lot of people we knew. It was a pleasure being around so many friends. Wonderful seats, just absolutely wonderful seats. We picked them up at the last minute. Mm-hmm. Great concessions. Easy to get concessions. I'm still, I wish people wouldn't throw stuff into the ring, because we had to pour our drinks into cups. That's my only complaint about the whole evening. But that's a problem with fans.
It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is.
Outside of that, I thought the experience itself was very nice. The wrestling show, there were things about it that struck me. I've been watching AEW, folks. I promise. I have been recording it. I've been watching it. I'll watch it. This is Wednesday. I'll watch it tonight, or tomorrow night when I get a chance. I've been studying it. I don't understand it a lot. I think a lot of it is more performance art than storytelling. The main event was phenomenal, but it could have ended quicker. The finishers could have been finishers. I think there was a lot of dangerous stuff done for effect that should have ended the match, and I was worried it hurt people.
So
what did you think?
So the let's start there, by the way. Look, we say this all the time, right? I don't think it's possible to go to a wrestling show, WWE, AEW, TNA, NWA, any indie show, period, that nobody hits a grand slam and you loved everything on the show. Does it happen? Sure, there might be an aberration, but that's exactly what it's going to be. So there were a couple things on the show that I was like, shrugged my shoulders, and I was like you, and like, all right, well, that match wasn't for me. That was for somebody else in the audience. The biggest thing that I took away, by the way, was watching Revolution and then seeing Will Ospreay in person. Easily got to be my favorite wrestler in AEW at this point.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I totally agree. So I think with the debut, I think they wanted to show you kind of what he can do. So they put him in there with a friend of his so he could just go crazy and show you how spectacular he is.
That guy's spectacular too.
Kudos to Kyle Fletcher. I didn't even really know much about Kyle Fletcher, and I was like, holy shit, this kid's good. But I think don't use him a ton. Don't use him every week. Make him look special, and going forward, maybe he doesn't have to wrestle that long and, like you said, that many. But that's, look, it was the you know, Conrad saying it about Revolution. We brought that up last week, was him saying, you know, if you didn't like that match, you probably should stop watching. Because, look, this is what you're going to get with Will Ospreay, I think, more often than not. But it's also why I think he shouldn't do it as often. He's got to spread him out and use him less frequently. But look, I like the new setup. I know a lot of people were joking about the NXT 2.0 like color scheme.
It looked great. It looked great.
I 100% agree. I like the colorful. I like it. You know, it does add a little. You know, it's
tunnels.
Anyway,
heels one tunnel, faces one tunnel. I like that.
Yeah, they went back. You remember they used to do that, and then it's like they stopped, and then so they went back to it. And I agree, it's a huge plus. Look, I enjoyed the show, period. If you ask me, like, hey, did you enjoy it? I did.
Yeah.
Was there stuff I didn't like about it? Sure. Does that matter? Not really. I'm like, if I'm like, hey, all that boils down to at the end of the day, Myron, is like, hey, would you buy a ticket and go back? I think we both have the same answer, and that is,
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I would go for a cheaper seat, because not because our seats were bad. It's just, it was an investment issue, you know. I would probably want, but if the damn ticket fees were that high for a cheaper seat, screw it. I'd sit on the damn floor again.
I honestly said, yeah, I probably would. So
I mean, if it's a 50, how much were the fees? Like,
I think we bought
$30?
third row. The ticket, it was like $26, $27 per ticket.
Okay.
And
if I'm going to pay that for a $25 seat, I'm going to go sit on the floor again.
That was my point. Like, cause it was like, that's exactly what happened. I was looking and I was like, so I'm going to pay $55 to sit on the risers or $70 to sit on the floor. The ticket fees are the same. I'll take the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it was literally like third row.
Tickets easy right before. I'll go back. They cater to their fans. And we could say that about other shows we saw this weekend. They catered to their fans. Their fans were happy. That's what they wanted. That mission accomplished. You know?
Yeah. So I like I said, I think overall, I think we both enjoyed the show.
Yeah. Don't give me any more Riho. I felt like a pervert watching that match. I get excited for Deonna Purrazzo coming out because I think she's a phenomenal women's wrestler. You put her up against Riho, who looks like she's 4. And you dress up like some kind of weird Japanese sex doll. Not for Myron. But for the people that like that kind of thing, that's the kind of thing those people like.
I guess, I mean, yeah, but that's, like I said, I mean, everything's got its own thing, and it is what it is. But overall, I think we enjoyed that. So, you know, and that, of course, that leads us into a couple other things about, you know, what's going on this week.
Old Bobby from Baltimore, Maryland. Isn't this the big show they're going to be doing in her hometown?
So we're recording Wednesday morning like usual. And, of course, tonight's big business. Yeah. So
what do you guys think of Mercedes Mone saying she will return to WWE someday in the interview she did? Well, I think all roads lead to WWE eventually. I think she'll go back. I think she made her name there. Everybody will go back.
No, she said she's got unfinished business there, and someday she'll go back. I think that what he's getting. So, by the way, let's clarify again. We're recording before Dynamite tonight. This airs the morning. It drops Thursday, so it's actually after. So,
not if you're a premium member on Patreon.
That's correct.
Or YouTube.
You'll
get my predictions before the show.
Yeah, but I think the question is specifically is like, look, she was honest about like, let me ask you this way. Do you think Tony Khan's happy knowing that before she actually makes her official debut on his channel, she's already saying someday I'll go back.
No.
Like that's not a good look, man. That's not a good look at all. But so, because then some people are like, well, then why did she even sign? You know, why is she going to AEW? Well, clearly they didn't agree on something, because she had said she had talks with WWE. They had preliminary talks. It fell through. So it's either, what does JR always say? It's cash or creative. It's one of the two reasons she didn't go back. And guess what? Clearly, when she had conversations with Tony Khan and AEW, and look, she wanted to do the New Japan thing, so it could have even leaned creative. Because here's my take, and I'm going to ask you to answer this. We have learned over the years that a lot of wrestlers and a lot of talent are artists more than businessmen and businesswomen.
Yes.
So in her perspective, it could have been, I went to New Japan, did some cool stuff over there I wanted to do. Unfortunately got injured. Now she's coming back. If the cash wasn't enough to make her happy in WWE, it not necessarily means they're paying more or less, but I guess the point I'm trying to go is say, if WWE, you don't get the creative freedoms that you're going to get in AEW. So the pay for WWE, it might not have been AEW offered more, but it could have been the two combined made her happy. I might take, even if it was the same, they're going to give me the creative freedoms to do stuff. Because remember, they hired the writer, that creative person that we had talked about a while back, who was her person, it's going to be her personal writer. So maybe that's, to her, was bigger influence of, hey, I'm going to have these freedoms, so that I'll just take the money and the freedoms, get to do some stuff I want to do, and then someday I'll just go back.
Well, we've had this discussion many, many times. Myron likes a secured income in a nice place where he can be creative when he's securing an income and he's got things laid out. Other people like to go off and maybe take less money to be able to control their destiny and, listen to themselves and not a boss or that kind of thing. And I get that from a standpoint, but I'd rather live in my own house and listen to a boss than it's a different viewpoint. It's a different artists and old fat guys are different.
Look, we could just be outright wrong. AEW could have just threw a ton more money at her, and it could be a cash grab going like, hey, I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, whatever they offered, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, who knows, a bunch of money, and she's just taking the money.
Yeah.
Nobody knows at this point. So, but I always say, God bless her on both.
Yeah.
If it was a cash grab, awesome, get your money. If if it was like, hey, I want the creative freedom, so I'm going to go over there. Okay, whatever, do that, do your thing.
We act like
people forget how young. Well, no, she also, by the way, she's still young. She's got time to go back and do, if she's got stuff she wants to accomplish in WWE. She can do all the above, in my opinion. So,
well, I think the other 3 of the 4 horsewomen have done real well. Okay. So it's not like there's not a good place for her. It's not like someone of her caliber would be left out in the cold if she was to come back. So, and look at Jesus, my brain. Her friend that she left with.
Naomi came back,
and she was stuck right into Elimination Chamber. And everybody's like, well, she didn't win. She got put in Elimination Chamber when she came back. That was pretty much a massive.
Look, I think Naomi just figured out that she's going to take the money and work with her husband.
Yeah.
I think it's that simple. In my opinion, but that's just me.
That's just me.
Yeah.
Okay, and on to our friend Julius. Is this Orange Julius from Durham, North Carolina? A lot of nice people in North Carolina. Don't care for the whole barbecue sauce from up there, but they're nice people. Are you guys excited for Ospreay versus Danielson? This is the thing that's been building. This is their their property. This is the thing everybody wants to see. And are you excited for it, Nick?
I am, and I like the way they got there. And I think, by the way, because then I wanted to come back to something I said earlier. This is why we got Kyle Fletcher versus Will Ospreay. There was a fan base who maybe hadn't seen a whole. Okay, I know that's probably not true, but it could be possible. They wanted to they put Ospreay out there to have this phenomenal match with Kyle Fletcher. So then Bryan Danielson, sorry, it's a bad habits Die Hard, comes down to the ring, shakes his hand. They'd have their moment, blah blah blah. Because then your brain starts going, ooh, I want to see this match, and then they give it to you like immediately. We're gonna have it at the April pay-per-view Dynasty. Is this a bold statement? tappedOutPod@gmail.com. I don't care what other matches you put on this card. This is the match that's selling this pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's the match that's going to sell the pay-per-view. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't need all these handshakes, but I'm interested to see what this looks like. I think it'll be another phenomenal match, but I need some bad blood. I need some stare downs. I need.
I can get you there too. By the way, we got time. You know what you could pull off?
What's that?
If Will Ospreay is in Don Callis's family, Bryan Danielson is in the Blackpool Combat Club.
Okay.
Can we get Claudio, Moxley, and Bryan versus Ospreay, Takeshita, and Kyle Fletcher on an episode of Dynamite before heading into that thing? Wouldn't be too shabby.
See, I agree. But see, what the whole thing is, I'm standing there watching Kyle Fletcher, and all I'm thinking, man, this guy would be a great Kane. We need a mask and some shooting fire.
Yeah, but he's too, and I don't mean this negatively. He's too flippy. He's not going to be Kane. He's going to be too flippy.
But I'm gimmick. I'm gimmick Myron. I just want to see WWE style shit with him. I'm sorry. That's
maybe. Yeah. I know what you're saying, but that's, again, goes back to super serving their audiences, which is what they do. That's why you got that match, because I'm going to discuss something that was disappointing a couple questions from now about Kyle Fletcher, and it's not the match.
I think it's a safe bet to get that.
Yeah.
But where else will we have safe bets?
Man, if you're looking for a safe bet, man, it always comes down to our friends over at Prize Picks, right?
Yes, sir.
You still working on this?
It's 2 minutes to kickoff. Who do I pick?
2 words, Prize Picks. It's so easy. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. It's just you against the numbers. Simply pick the over-under on 2 or more players, and that's it. You can win up to 10 times your money in just one day. Join over 150,000 people who found a better way to play. Download the Prize Picks app today and get your first deposit match up to $100.
That's right, man. Head on over to Prize Picks. Use the app or use the obviously the website prizepicks.com. And in the show notes, by the way, there is a promo code in there that'll get you that little bonus when you drop in your first time sign up. I love it, dude. Look, NBA's going full. They got hockey now. Baseball's about to start up. So you got 3 sports at once. You could just be all running through. So I cannot wait till all that stuff's going on there. But check them out.
You've been
Prize
excited
Picks.
about free agency like crazy,
dude. It's just bananas. The first few days are always wild. And, it was a lot of movement for sure in NFL free agency, man. And I was having a blast with it.
I've been trying the stock market, and Jesus Christ, I don't have the stomach for all that, Nick. I'm going to have to go back to just following sports.
Exactly.
Wrestling. Oh, God. Well, back from the show, Jackson from Henderson, Nevada. I've never been to Nevada. You ever been? You've been
I've been to Vegas a few times. Yeah.
Why do you guys think there is so much tribalism within professional wrestling fan base? Well, folks, this is a great question. Why do we think there's so much tribalism, Nick?
Can I really go down a rabbit hole on this one?
Well, let's see your rabbit hole, Nick.
All right. Here's what I take from it. So I had this thought because, look, by the way, this is in politics. It's in, the big AEW, WWE. I'm sure, and by the way, I'm pretty sure that's what he's referring to. The problem is we also see it on the indie level and smaller promotions and music and movies and TV shows.
You can't just be let's all get along anymore.
So here's the thing. I tried to tell somebody the other day, and I said, look, tribalism's not a wrestling problem. It's a societal problem. Let's start with politics. Boom. It's as tribal. I mean, it's tribalism at its best.
Yeah.
Like you can't even disagree anymore. It's a fight.
No, it's a fight. It's a fight. If like it's me and you, when we have a political political conversation, we try to have a conversation that's civil, and even if we disagree, we try to find a viewpoint somewhere in the middle. We always try to say, like, by the way, like, Nick, are you guys about to talk politics? No. No.
But what he's saying is, even when we disagree specifically, a lot of times what I try to tell people, it's not usually the good thing at the end you disagree on. It's like the path chosen to try to accomplish something. And it's like, most of the time, it's like, hey, we may not agree in the sense of like, hey, this is how I would do it or I would do it. Yeah. But sometimes it's just simple as the viewpoint. And that's, you know, you could still respect somebody and go like, oh, I understand what you're thinking. I just don't think that's the right way.
You know,
transfer
everybody
that
wants world peace, but you don't know if it's a suplex or a Boston Crab to get there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or a sharpshooter, which we'll discuss probably. Yeah. So, but
like
so then it moves over. Well, like you know, we talk about like Star Wars and Star Trek and just all, you know, it's always like it's everything in this world now is a love it or hate it. It feels like there is no, it's pretty good. Unfortunately, Nick has got a lot of things where he's like, oh, that was okay. That was good. It was entertaining, but it wasn't the best thing. It wasn't the worst thing. So now it revolves into the wrestling part. I think how it translates is, this is going to sound, look, and I'm not, maybe I am. I said this and somebody told me, Nick, I agree with you, but it's not probably the best way to paint the picture. Gonna do it anyway. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Send the hate mail there. I essentially said, because I had broken it from down to the majors, like the AEW, WWE stuff, down to the indie shows as well. And I said, the reason I feel personally people are so tribalistic about their thoughts, specifically wrestling, nobody wants to admit, or no, back, I don't know if admit's the right word. I'll be careful there because that's not the right word. Nobody wants to say, I'm cheering for the inferior product.
Or I'm wrong.
Or look, and you don't even have to be. That's the crazy thing. That's what I tell people. Like, so, you know, like, look, here in Georgia, and we're not going to name specifics, there's just a bunch of indie promotions. Everybody claims to be the best, right? By the way, those promoters, those talents should believe that.
Yeah.
The fan bases echo it out. If you follow them on social media, they echo it out and follow it out as well.
Yeah.
I understand. The argument of being is like, this is the best promotion, that's the best promotion, and you say, hey, do you go to any shows? By the way, we know of plenty of fans who do. They go to a ton of shows, and if they say something, I have a little more leeway. Yeah. But if it's like, hey, I only go to this promotion, it's the best one, and it's the best one around. Well, because you don't want to say, I go to the closest promotion to my house and we have a good time. That's probably the more logical answer.
Well, it's just like religion and things like that. A lot of times the religion you have is more along the lines of where you were born. And the wrestling show you go to is based on where you live. The people that love Augusta wrestling are ones that live in Augusta. The people that like Canton wrestling are the people that live in Canton. I'm sorry, but there's a handful of people that go all over the state, but not everybody does. I love going to different promotions and seeing what everybody else is doing. And I have favorites. I'm not going to lie. I do have favorites, but I like to see all of them. You know, everybody does a little something different, and everybody has the things that they do better than others. everybody does a little. If we look at Southern Honor and Southern Fried does a Southern wrestling a little bit better than Southern Honor. Southern Honor does that sensationalized TV wrestling a little bit better than Southern Fried. I don't think anybody would argue me that.
No, but again, to say specifically, I think everybody's just going to say whatever they cheer for is the best.
Yes.
Because ultimately, they can't be wrong.
I grew up in Alabama as an Auburn fan because my dad was an alumni, and Alabama fans were evil. Okay? And then I moved to Georgia to go to UGA and became a Georgia fan, and Georgia Tech fans were evil. Had I moved to Georgia to go to Georgia Tech, I might have a different opinion. That's how things work.
Yeah, but like I said, nobody, I mean, look, if you're, you know, like I said, I just think it always comes back to people just don't want, I mean, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, if you don't know, you don't know, but it's easy. I just don't think people want to say, A, they don't typically know, but they just don't want to be wrong. It's politics. It's movies.
I didn't like WCW. I watched it some, but I like WWF the better. I loved Raw. Nitro was okay to me, but Raw was my program still.
But you did, I mean, anyway, but that's
the
whole thing.
I didn't hate Nitro, but I like Raw. I was
you can't. That's the difference. I think that's the thing, but it's the tribalism is specifically WWE is all right. AEW is all wrong. They're terrible. They're the shits. Blah 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 blah. By the way, that's completely not true, and that's what I try to tell people.
Like
I can sit there and tell you, like, there's things about WWE. Look, there were things about Smackdown this week that I didn't like. There were things about Raw that I definitely didn't like. It just happens. I don't know that it's, again, I come back to, if somebody tells you your show's great top to bottom, they're part of your tribe. Kudos. Because they're wrong, probably more often than not. So, but anyway, keep it moving, man. We're running out of time, and we got a couple more things to go over.
We're gonna roll it up and say Van from Newark, New Jersey. I hear that's a real shithole compared to Atlanta. If we're gonna be tribal, see,
I've never been
here.
Yeah.
Are you guys tired of all the ratings talk? Nick, are we tired of that?
We have been for a long time. But Van, you asked a question.
All I want to do is see wrestling outranking other stuff on TV, so we get more wrestling on TV, folks. Not that I can watch it all as it is.
Yeah. So,
but I want to see wrestling doing good. I want to see wrestling in the hearts and minds of everybody. But let's talk about ratings, Nick. Where are we at these days?
So basically what I want to, go over, I guess, is we're going to sit here and just, like, I'm going to give you the numbers. TV viewership is, it's a dead thing. Everybody's going to streaming, blah, blah, blah. That's why viewership is down. I don't get hung up on, people laugh when I say, like, 1 week to 1 week, I never really lose any sleep over. Hey, last week, and this isn't factual. No, I have some numbers here, but this isn't one I'm using. A week, Raw will do 1.7 million or something. And then the next week they do 1.55 and everybody's like, oh my God. I'm like, dude, it's a week. I prefer trends. Like, I prefer quarters, like not quarter hours, like quarters of the year. Like, what's your trend for the quarter? What do you look like year over year? That kind of stuff. To me, that's what matters more than anything. Because you can kind of see it's an indicative of a growth versus, or a decline. And I think ultimately, look, if this was a loaded question, Van, I apologize. Like, were you trying to tell me? Because, look, AEW's down right now. I mean, we're talking 5-10% on shows, that they're down from year over to year or quarters and blah, blah, blah. WWE is up as a whole. Raw's down this quarter, but, blah, what is
Raw's
what it
down,
is.
SmackDown's up.
Yeah.
Where are we at with NXT? NXT's up.
Yeah.
Monday night's a tough night for television.
I think what it all comes back to is I keep saying, like, Tony Khan needs to move on from discussing, and he, by the way, kudos to him. He hasn't really done it a ton lately, as far as talking about ratings. So kudos for that, because Dynamite and they're seeing a rough patch. Do I think they can pull through this? 100%. I think they can. But just focus on your product and do it, because there was a time when it wasn't even, remember, it was like, if you are trying to compare Dynamite to NXT when they were head to head. I would tell you now it's really scary to look at these numbers and go, okay, so for the quarter of, the Q1 quarter is around 660. Q1 for Dynamite is, it's around 819 for the quarter. Okay. Everybody says, that's a huge gap. Look at the roster differences between those two shows now. NXT is 100% pretty much, I mean, for the most part. They might have an appearance here and there, but for Prime, I mean, it is pretty much a dead-on a developmental show. Dynamite strutting out, Danielson, Ospreay, Moxley, Claudia, on and on and on. Every, name that you can think of, Adam Copeland, Christian, like and so it's a main roster thing. So that's something, look, we'll see. Look, Mercedes Mone. Yeah. So, Mercedes Mone theoretically will debut tonight / last night, on Dynamite. And if she does, let's see what happens. Prediction, Myron. Hey, let's talk about ratings, like stuff we like to do. Do they break 1 million with Mercedes Mone?
Yeah, it's going to be an insult festival tonight. No, not 1 million. No, they'll break 900,000.
They better. If they don't do 900,000, yeah.
But you got to look at what SmackDown is doing right now. Rock, Cody, Rock, Roman Reigns, grabbing him. Must see TV. Incredible
but here's the thing.
Promos. 40-minute promos.
Based on every number you've given me on your guesses, if you were an executive at WWE / Fox, I'd be a little disappointed with the numbers they're pulling on SmackDown. With The Rock being there and Roman being there and Cody being there, and they're doing, look, we're talking for the, the last couple weeks, they did, they're averaging around 2.4. So I guess if they stay there, I would have thought, man, with Rock and everything, you got to be around 2.7, 2.8 maybe. I mean, but they're just, but look, but clearly nobody is. That's the kicker, right? Nobody's disappointed. I don't think. Doesn't appear to be that way. So.
Well, I mean, if everybody's sucking and you're sucking less or not sucking, I guess that's the best you could ask for. If everybody's losing points and you're just slightly gaining,
that's a win-win. Yeah,
that's a win.
Right. No, I agree. I agree with you on that point. So, but anyway. Look, before we get into the last few things, we always want to remind you, man, make sure you're checking us out over on youtube.com. The handle there is @TappedOutPod. Like the page, subscribe, turn your notifications on, become a member so you do get the show early. We talked about that as well. Get some of the bonus content that we're dropping there as well. Some of those audios and stuff that are on there. But look, if you don't like the video, you can't handle it too much, I understand. If you got a bad heart, you got to make sure you're subscribing to us on the podcast platforms. Apple Podcasts, look, Google Podcasts is going away. Hell, it may be gone by the time I talk. Spotify, Amazon Podcasts. You could even directly download links. Just look, on social media every week, I'm trying to share every link to all these platforms that I can come up with. Make sure, by the way, you're clicking on those. Just go right through there. It makes it easy for you to subscribe right, to the page on the podcast platform and subscribe to those channels. So
now, before we get into Southern Honor, are we going to talk about seeing that big hoser Jamie there?
That's what I was going to tell you. Like when we get to Southern Honor talk, look, we went to Southern Honor last week on Friday, and of course we did run into our, friend of the show, Jamie Martin of jmartinandcompany.com. For all your pressure washing needs, commercial or residential, hit them up again at jmartinandcompany.com. Like I said, they do gutters, they do driveways, they do houses, everything. They do shopping centers, all that crazy stuff. So if you're in need of pressure washing and you're looking for somebody you can trust to do a great job, jmartinandcompany.com.
The biggest hose in pressure washing.
Exactly. So look, we did hit a couple shows this weekend, Southern Honor. We really have about 2-3 minutes tops to cover all of this indie stuff. Cool. So look, we had a great time at Southern Honor. Any quick thoughts while we were there?
Bam, death matches. Yeah. I love everybody involved in the death match. Just not for me, folks. But they did a great job.
Oh yeah, absolutely pulled it off. And yeah,
IWE, the fans were happy, the boys were happy, the promoters were happy. What else could you ask for? this weekend, we're going to Anarchy. And God, I love Anarchy.
Yep, that will be this weekend, Monroe, Georgia, at the Boys and Girls Club 405 Community Court. We will be at Anarchy. If you want to dive into some more indie talk, this week we are recording a tapped-in episode of the Indie Talk. Check it out. Again, same channel, same feeds, everything. If you want to listen to it, check it out. We're literally recording 10, 15 minutes after we finish this episode. We'll drop. I'm going to get that one rolling as well. So, but yeah, check them out. Check us out, easy for me to say, over on YouTube. They know at Tapped Out Pod or any podcast platform. We are anywhere and everywhere. Anything else, brother, before we get out of here?
Everywhere. No, man, I'm pretty happy. It's been a good week. Doing a little work here, doing a little work there, trying to explain contractors and all this other shit that's going on at my house. Oh, Lord Jesus. I'll be so glad to get to some wrestling this weekend. Oh,
yeah,
it's my happy place. I'm going to click my little fat heels 3 times and hope I go to wrestling. Anarchy, here I come. Oof.
Yep, that's where we'll be, man. So definitely check us out again. Like I said, come up and say hey, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. Come up and say hey. We're always glad to chat away. So, well, that's all I've got. Everything on the national. We appreciate all the questions coming in. Send them in to tappedoutpod@gmail.com into the mailbag, and we'll try to not be so far in between. I wanted to do one of these once a month at least, but so we'll try to get back and do better about that. Keep your questions coming. Tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Anything else, brother, before we get out of here?
I got nothing.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing, you've got nothing. What time is it?
It's time to tap out.